Angelo, from editorial director from Blasting News. He's going to help us kick off the tone with the looking at how to design and implement editorial workflows. He's got a vast number of years of experience looking at a global level with multiple contributors around the globe. So I think everyone publishes here when they're at that stage where they know that their traffic is growing and they keep bringing on new things to improve processes. How does that continue to work whilst having a strong architecture that's going to allow you to scale your growth? And the second half of the session will be a joint presentation from Aslam and Barry. And both hey Barry, thanks again for joining, and Aslam. And Aslam and Barry are going to pretty much go into the nitty gritty of tactics, best practices around WordPress core, Web Vitals, and we're all here. March 12th is the day that has been announced for IMP. I think everyone's maybe some people are left to the last minute, or maybe just want to get some quick tips from both our experts. And yeah, we're here to help you to get through that as well, not overhyping it, and not sort of that saying keep coming, keep doing what you're doing. So yeah, we're here to support you guys on that as well. We'll have besides the presentations, we'll have a Q&A session where you can ask all your questions. And Angela, I'm going to pass it over to you. Let's get things kicked off with editorial workflow.
Hello. So today I'm working from home. That's why you can see my Antonello da Messina. Wonderful. So I try to be very brief. So I think I'm going to talk for 15 minutes. My name is Angelo Paura. I'm based in New York. It's a pretty muddy day today in New York. So I'm happy to be here with you guys. I'm originally from Italy, but I moved here 15 years ago to do a master and then a fellowship at Craig Newmark School of Journalism. And yeah, I'm a journalist and a correspondent. But then after this master, I, started working more into product design for journalism, and starting working more into the managing side of the business. Okay, what is Blasting News? Blasting News is a platform and is also a tech company. We are based in London and in Switzerland, and we try to. We started in 2013 trying to democratize journalism and to give everyone the possibility to, write and make money out of it. So right now we are a community of around 2,000 freelancers all over the world. And, we used to have, before 2018, so before Cambridge Analytica, around 200 million page views per month. Now we are around 30 to 40 millions. And in 2020, we implemented, and that's why I'm, here in the company, we implemented our, anti-misinformation policies, and we try to develop a better workflow to work with our contributors. I told you that we are based in London, but we have 5, different operations in 5 different countries. We work in the UK, in the US, in Brazil, and then in Europe, in Spain, Italy, and France. I told you before that we have this idea of meritocracy. So what we do is to share our the money that we make out of advertising with our contributors. We don't want to have click, but we are talking about engage click, as you probably know. And in the last 10 years, we distribute around 30 million euro to our contributors. And we started, I told you, in 2013, but we had this, we won a DNI, so the Google DNI grant in 2016, where we develop a more European, pan-European platform. So because we are a platform, we work with process. So we are not just, you know, simple media. We need to have processes. We are very straight on it. And we work in two different ways. We have a human curation and we have a algorithm, or more than one algorithm, that we can use for spot misinformation, for SEO, etc. We have a team of 100 editors, freelancers, and 10 content managers that are, inside the company. So they're working with me, trying to be sure that everything we publish is fine, and it's a fact check, and it's not fake news, and it's not propaganda. We use our algorithm before the publication for SEO and for, you know, spot misinformation, and we use the algorithm after the publication, trying to be sure that everything is fine after the check. And then we are going to talk a bit more about the process that we have, because we have this editorial workflow. As I told you, we are an open platform, we are a tech startup, we have rules, we have policies, and we are obsessed with details, because we understand the significant impact that every decision or error can have on our platform. We publish around, let's say, 4K articles per month and around 1,000 video per month. So we have more than 100 documents to set our, you know, rules inside the company and with our contributors to have like a smooth and effective workflow. We conduct a monthly review and we update the process when it's needed. And we have a proprietary CMS. So we produce, we edit, we publish, and we share every single piece of content with our CMS. That is an internal one. So this is a couple of examples of handbooks. For example, we have handbooks for our, writers. 9 steps to write the perfect articles. 9 steps to keep your article free from fake news. We do a lot of, workshops with our contributors, trying to, enhance our quality. And so now the process from the idea to social media. So as I told you, the art of our workflows is the CMS and the algorithm. So using our algorithms, every day our community managers review and distribute a series of topic and ideas around our countries. Our writers that we refer to as blasters craft articles using an internal text editor of the platform. Maybe later I can show you a bit the platform. We are working on a new platform. So right now we have like let's say old platform, but we are working on a on a new one that is almost ready. We require reliable and fresh sources, and we want to have news. So we cannot have stuff that is older than 2 or 3 days, in this case 3 days. So each article undergoes an automatic SEO standard checks. And then, the process is that the blaster submits the articles for the first edit. So we're going to have a first edit. The editor can send it back with a comment, and revision, or they can approve. So we have these two things. If the article is sent back, the blaster can make corrections and resubmit it. after 3 submission, the editor can only choose to publish or kill the article. So it's a pretty strict process. When we approve the article, there's a second edit with our content managers to be sure that everything is fine, that it is SEO compliant, and that is fine for our standard. So we have this kind of process. After the publication, we have a second, let's say, platform called Blasting X, where our micro influencer can, pick all the articles and decide if they want to share the articles online on different social media. We call them social blasters. And then, the idea is that every blaster can decide if you want to have the help of our social blasters, and in this case we are going to share part of the revenues with our social blasters. Additionally, after this entire process, we, as I told you, implement a randomized check to identify any errors and other problems. We have also 2 reports that are, at the core of our work. The first one is the executive report, and the second one is the time approved report to check every day what's going on our platform. So the first one, it's it's a report to understand our numbers, the web traffic, the activity of our blaster and social blasters on a daily basis, and is divided to in the daily report and the monthly report. And then we have the time approved report that is pretty important for my team, because the report tracks the duration from article submission to publication, and we try to publish an article in 30 minutes for more than 90% of the articles, and with a maximum cap of 3 hours. After 3 hours for us is a problem, so we don't want to have articles in the platform on the desk there without anyone that can control them and edit. This is another important point, and it's something that we did in the last few months. So after 2020, we started working on quality. We started working on disinformation. I opened a new area called Blasting News Fact Checking. We just managed to enter into the International Fact Checking Network, so we are going to work with them. Heads up. And we also trying to enhance our quality, because in the beginning the situation was this one: every blaster was trying to write articles as fast as possible, publish, try to make traffic. What we want to do now is publish less articles and do more quality. As you know, in October, everyone around the world had this problem with Google and with the algorithm. So what we did is try to change a bit the way in which we produce articles. We try to create new rules to have more original piece of content. And so let's say that in 2 months we really saw an incredible change in our numbers. Okay, so we increase our numbers in Google traffic and direct traffic. And we are pretty sure that is because we started working in this new with this new approach and with this new path. As I told you, we are a community. So what we want to do is create a community. I did my fellowship at Craig Newmark School of Journalism with Jed Jarvis. During that year, we talk a lot about communities, about the fact that journalism is about communities, and it's a service. It's not just a product. So we want to create a service for our communities. In each country, we operate in this way. We have a community manager that is responsible for overseeing our network of contributors that we call blasters. And it's very, very at the core of our job. So it's recruiting new members, motivating them, trying to improve their article writing skills, and providing valuable suggestions, ideas to enhance their work. So that's very important for us. We have, as I told you, this editorial part, and we have this more community focused area. At the same time, we are an international company. So we are based in London, I'm based in New York, but we work, in different time zones. We have editors in Brazil, we have editors in London, we have editors in Italy, in France, and in Spain. The way in which we operate is with, as I told you, two different teams. The first one is the freelancers team. And in this case, we have around 100 to 200 editors. And we have this very rigorous selection process to have them inside the company and to ask them to correcting articles for us. And then we have an international team that is an internal team. And it's like a team of editors and fact checker that can work with us, to enhance our, mission. Because the other important part is not just editing, but is also doing education for our writers. So we are trying to do that. We did a lot of projects also with universities in the past. We did a couple of grants with the European Union, one about disinformation in the smaller regions of Europe, working with universities, doing education, doing media literacy with both students and also with the community. And the other one was a big project called Eunomia, that was a social media based on Mastodon. And it was a social media super connected with disinformation, trying to find a way to have a social network and that could enhance good quality journalism. This is part of our platform, and is inside the workflow. We have the second edit, that is a fact-checking control room, where we basically fact-check every single article we published. And here you can, as you can see the status of the article, the country, the time where we publish it, and then you can decide if you want to enable sharing. And so if you enable sharing, all the micro-influencer can share the article. If you don't want to do it because you have any problem, you can click disable sharing and then try to find a way to fix it. The last part is about misinformation. As I told you, we are part of the International Fact-Checking Network. We work a lot with the European Union. We try to follow the Trust Project transparency and quality standards. We have the Green Shield with 100% with from NewsGuard. That is a startup where I worked before. And as I told you, we won the Google News Innovation Fund in 2016, I think. And we worked for a couple of years with that. To finish my presentation, as I told you, we have a lot of anti-misinfo policy. After Cambridge Analytica, we decided to change everything inside the platform. Before, it was like super open to everyone. You can write, you can do it. But I mean, it was not just us. Now we have, zero tolerance for fake news, propaganda, clickbaiting titles, bot, whatever. We just release an internal policy about AI. So what we are going to do is to have like an AI-ready newsroom. We use different tools. We don't write articles using AI. We don't want to do it. We're just using tools powered via AI in order to enhance our experience and try to help our editors. If in the future we are going to write something using AI, we're going to disclose it at the end or at the beginning of the article, but we are not into that for sure right now. As I told you before, we try to mix the human intelligence with the with tech tools to spot propaganda and disinformation. We have, as I told you, an algorithm called fake news semaphore, and it's basically a traffic light that can spot misinformation. Red light probably is false. Green light, it's okay, we want to go ahead and publish. And if it's yellow, there's probably something that you need to investigate more. What we are going to do, as I told you, we are working on a new platform. We are trying to, give our content creators more tools so they can write, share, create videos, newsletter, and podcast. At the same time, we are trying to create a marketplace for on-demand content. I think I think we are going to develop these two areas. Marketplace for on-demand content, that's the first thing, and the second one is more fact-checking, misinformation, the fact-checking and misinformation area, and we want to try to mix our revenues using having ads, but also subscription and other innovative stream of revenues. And I think that's it for now. And thank you so much for your time here.
Pass it over to Aslam. Aslam is the CTO of Multidots, and we'll start off with we'll start off with some of the tactical use cases of improving your WordPress performance, and we'll go through to Barry afterwards. So over to you, Aslam.
Thank you, Wahe, for the quick introduction. So let me start my talk. So I wanted to talk about optimizing workflow and performance. So before we jump into the topic, let me share a quick introduction about me. My name is Aslam Multani. I'm the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder at Multidots. And at Multidots, we specialize into enterprise WordPress migration and custom solution development. At Multidots, I have worked with many enterprise customers to implement their solutions on WordPress platform and any custom solution for their requirements. Yeah. So let me directly jump into the topic. And originally, actually, my talk was planned after Barry. So Barry will cover up a couple of topics about core web vitals, that how we can improvise the performance of the page and what are the things to look at while reviewing the core web vitals. So I assume Barry will cover a lot into the topic, but let me cover a high level idea that when you are planning to implement your website on WordPress, or if you are already on WordPress and if you are planning to customize your for the better performance, then there are multiple things that you should look after. One of the most important part is choosing your theme, or identifying that on which theme you are currently using. So which theme you are using, it will have a very good impact on your performance or on your core web vital as well, right? And you also might want to select that, okay, your theme is compatible with which kind of page builders in WordPress, right? So let's say if you have a marketing team or editorial team who are very comfortable with complex or they are tech savvy, then you might want to go with a particular page builder. Or if you for example, if you want to go with a Gutenberg, then that is, or then you might want to find a theme which is Gutenberg compatible as well. At the same time, looking at the plugin is also very important part. Like in WordPress, uh, the best way to customize and extend your WordPress for your needs is by going with plugins, right? But at the same time, as you go with more and more plugins, like if you install more plugins, it can hamper your server response time and performance as well. So at Multidots, we usually recommend our team members or our engineers that whenever we are designing a solution, we most probably go with less number of plugins. And if there is a particular functionality, we try to achieve it within the theme so that it adds a very less burden on the server side response time. Another important aspect is looking after the content architecture, right? And one of the important uh, mindset that we follow is go with the native architecture of WordPress. For example, let's say whatever content elements that you have, like articles or any other things, go with the native elements of WordPress custom post types or taxonomies. So that will allow you to have a better performance or even extendability as well in the future. The last one is hosting platform. Utilizing a very optimized hosting platform is also very important for the performance. Uh, if you might have heard that, let's say if you are going with a managed WordPress hosting versus a standard hosting, then it will have a very big impact on the performance. And if you are going with managed WordPress hosting, then you will have a one less headache to manage the servers and all, right? Like or security updates and everything. So these are like key focus areas that I would like to recommend when you are auditing your current setup or if you are planning to migrate to WordPress. Uh, Next, I wanted to talk about that performance optimization is not a one-time task, right? I always recommend our customers that it should be a continuous monitoring. For example, let's say at the launch time, you have audited all the performance parameters and everything very well. But by the time goes, you will make changes to the homepage of the website or critical pages of the website. You will, publish articles, or you will make a lot of changes, or maybe any algorithm changes, right? So in such cases, a continuous monitoring is very much required, right? Like checking your core web vitals, or like making sure that your plugins and WordPress versions are up to date, security parameters are all there, like your SEO performance and accessibility is very well optimized. These are the things which are very important. And usually at Multidots, we have seen that our enterprise customers go for like our recurring services, like monthly maintenance services, where we will prepare and monitor their websites on regular basis. So I would highly recommend that as a publisher, you should be looking on these parameters on like continuous basis, like maybe like set a time for every month or like every quarter. But yeah, it has to be on a regular basis. So apart from these items, I wanted to talk few minutes about optimizing the editorial workflow, right? So whatever I said previously was about performance, but at the same time, as we have many publishers here, right? And as Angelo mentioned, that they have a very unique editorial workflow to publish the content. So likewise, there might be opportunities where you can optimize your editorial workflow. And let's say when you are publishing thousands of articles, right? Like even 1 minute matters for your editors, right? So that is what I would like to share a couple of examples that how what kind of directions you can think about. So the first one is utilizing plugins within WordPress. So let's say every publisher will have unique workflow requirements. So I would highly recommend that based on your needs, first define your workflow needs, and then look at plugins available in WordPress ecosystem. For example, here I wanted to share one name about like publishpress.com. They have a very good product portfolio of multiple plugins through which you can achieve multiple requirements of your custom flow. Like for example, if you wanted a moderation workflow, or if you want like content scheduling or planning workflow, or you want different rights for different type of author levels, this kind of plugins you can explore, or maybe many other plugins are also available. So the idea is that you look after the plugins available on the ecosystem. Another one quick example that I wanted to share about is a multi-collab. It is a plugin developed by Multidots, and for example, it allows you to do content collaboration, commenting, and editing within WordPress itself. Uh, for example, imagine that there is a publication house where they have a uh, workflow, like where they fine tune the content or finalize the content outside WordPress, either on Google Doc or any other platform. And then once the article is finalized, they move it to WordPress. So if it would be wonderful if you can do all this within WordPress. That is where multi-collab can come into the picture. You can do all those commenting within the WordPress. Multi-collab also comes with real-time collaboration, which is not out of the box in WordPress. And that is where this is one of the example where you can optimize your editorial workflow. Another example that I wanted to share is about one of our case study project called wonderwall.com. It is a celebrity news website. And the example that I'm sharing here is, let's say if you are utilizing page builders like Gutenberg or anything, right? You can take the advantage of their capability to develop your need-based custom Gutenberg blocks, which will save time for your editors. For example, in this case of Wonderwall, before moving to WordPress, they had a workflow where they, let's say, each and every post contains like a lot of images. So they first upload like 50 to 100 images, then they go to add new post, and then they attach the images. So when they move to WordPress, we develop very specialized Gutenberg block for them, where like their post publishing time literally reduced by like 50-60%, right? So that was the example I'm taking, that you can utilize the capability of Gutenberg or any other page builders to optimize your editorial workflow. Another example I wanted to share, that is where do go with custom solution for your or specific need. I wanted to talk example about ask.com, one of the case studies that we did. That is where like they had a certain requirement of centralized content management. They wanted a headless WordPress where the articles will be visible on many other platforms. They wanted a common dashboard for their editors, right? And let's say they had a special requirement where whether in the future, whenever they want to detach a website from their center platform, it should be easy. So after looking at all these aspects, we implemented a custom solution which really achieved all this requirement, right? So this is one example where uh, it might be possible that you have a very unique workflow, then you might want to go with a custom solution. Another example that I wanted to share about is nabshaw.com, one of our case study, where they, before moving to WordPress, even after moving to WordPress, they had a requirement where their primary content of their exhibitors stays on a platform called Map Your Show. Sorry, there is a typo there, but yeah, content stays on Map Your Show, and they had a particular requirement that, yeah, they still want to keep utilizing Map Your Show, but they want to achieve optimum page loading speed. So we implemented a very unique workflow where we implement a caching mechanism where the content caches to WordPress, and then when the visitor is looking at the website, the page performance is very superb, right? So this is how, by sharing these two example, the point I wanted to make here is that, yeah, you can go with custom solutions when you have like very unique requirement for your workflows. So yeah, these are the few things that I wanted to share in my talk today. And yeah, I'll be happy to take questions at the end of the talk. Yeah. Thank you for listening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here. Yeah. Back to you, Wahid.
Thank you so much, Barry. Over to you. Barry is everyone the Google Chrome advocate, and he's very experienced in terms of looking at site speed and a lot of areas. I'll let Barry better provide about his background and pass it over to him. Thanks, Barry.
Hi everyone. Right, we've got a lot to cover, and I think some of those technical glitches cost us some time at the beginning, so I'll try to race through this as quickly as I can while not missing anything. My name is Barry Pollard. I am a web performance developer advocate in the Google Chrome team. So I'm part of the Core Web Vitals initiative. I look after a lot of the Core Web Vitals docs on web.dev. I look after the Chrome user experience reports as well, which you use to measure the Core Web Vitals. I am the maintainer of the Web Vitals JS library that some of you may use. And I also speak with other tools like the Lighthouse team and the DevTools team in Google. So anything to do with Core Web Vitals or web performance, I'm the man to speak to. And today I want to talk on those two topics. First of all, I want to have a quick discussion on why web performance is important. So we publish quite a few case studies on this. So every time that we get one of our partners who makes a good web performance improvement, we encourage them to write it up and explain what they did so everyone else can learn from it. And perhaps more importantly, what impact that had. So saying I saved 3 seconds off my LCP or my load time is interesting and is good and well done for that. But what's more interesting is, and that led to more conversions, more people on the page, lower bounce rates, whatever business metric you want to measure that. So at web.dev/case studies, we have a wealth of studies there on performance improvements and what business impact they've had. And similarly, another site that's more independent, run by a couple of web performance experts, is wpostats.com. It collects similar case studies, including the ones from web.dev, but also from other areas. And there's a lot of interesting stories there that show when you improve your web performance, you normally see good business benefits of that. So if you're looking for reasons to do web performance, there's here. If you're looking for reasons to persuade your boss to allow you to work on web performance, these are good case studies and do that. So I encourage you to check those things out. Moving on from that, I'm going to talk a little bit about Core Web Vitals. I'm hoping most of you are familiar about it. We've been banging on about these for a little while from Google. But a quick recap, and I will keep this very quick because I say a lot of you probably heard this before. The Core Web Vitals initiative was launched about 3 or 4 years ago. It is an initiative from the Google Chrome team to try to measure web performance in a holistic way across all websites. And to do that, we came up with these 3 measures: LCP, or largest contentful paint. That's from when you click until the largest content shows. And that's supposed to be your loading metric. Largest content basically says the page is pretty much ready to go. There might still be lots of little things going around there, but at least the main content there, or what we assume is the main content is the large thing, is loaded there. And we set thresholds to that. If it's below 2.5 seconds, we say you're good. If it's above 4 seconds, we say that's pretty poor. And if it's in between, it's like, well, could do with some improvement. The next metric measures a completely different loading experience, which is the CLS, or cumulative layout shift. And this measures that annoying shifty thing. So you load a website, you start reading, and then an ad pops in, and you've lost your place, and you've no idea what's going on. And it's not just in load. You can also get that. It's all loaded. You start reading, you scroll down, and again, an ad pops in, or some people like these sticky headers, which can be implemented very well. So as you scroll down, you still get your header there, but can also be implemented very badly. And as you scroll down, suddenly the page jumps a little bit as it tries to stick that header in there, and it's really quite irritating and annoying. So this is one of my favorite metrics because it actually measures something we never really tried to measure before, and we've seen a lot of improvements in websites doing this. And to me, the web has got less annoying because we've fixed that sort of thing. And finally, we've our interactivity metric. So currently this is FID, or first input delay. So that measures, you click on something and how long does it take until that starts processing it. We say 100 milliseconds or less. That's nearly instantaneous as far as human perception is concerned. Anything above 300 milliseconds, it's like, well, okay, that's bad. That one's quite important because you may have heard the news that we're actually going to be replacing FID with a new metric, INP, or interaction to next page. It's got slightly higher bandwidth thresholds, 200 milliseconds and 500 milliseconds, because it measures slightly more. So I want to talk a little bit about INP because that's the biggest change that we've had in Core Web Vitals in a while. And it's going to be going live in the 12th of March, at which point it will be replacing FID, and that will be the metric that we use to measure and say whether your website is performant or not. Now I've got the definition of INP here. It's quite a long definition. It's from our documentation. INP is a metric that assesses a page's overall responsiveness to user interactions by observing the latency of all click, tap, and keyboard interactions that occur throughout the lifespan of a user's visit to a page. The final INP value is the longest interaction observed, ignoring outliers. Okay, that's quite a long-winded definition, so I'm going to try and talk you through it and explain exactly what that is, because I think a lot of people, when I explain it, they kind of get it, but they don't really understand exactly what it does or why it's different than FID. And we also should talk about why Google are changing this. We've had FID since the Core Web Vitals initiative was launched. So what's our thinking here? Why are we thinking it's to change here? This graph is from the Core Web Vitals tech report. That is based on a scan of all the top 10, 15 million websites in the world. And we also look at their performance data. And here I've shown some common CMS platforms, including WordPress, Shopify, Wix, and Squarespace. And you can see that all of them are, this measures the number of their sites that are passing FID. And nearly all of them are passing them. They're all well above 90%. And in fact, the blue line, which is the whole of the web, again, is above 90%. Now, if this was the truth and we didn't have a responsive problem on the web, we would be delighted. We're not just trying to move the goalposts here because you've met that and we're just going to make them tighter. The truth is we don't think this is accurately measuring the web anymore. I don't know about you, but I quite often have websites that freeze, websites that I load, particularly on my mobile, and I have a pretty expensive phone. When I click on it, I try to open the menu, nothing happens. I click on it again, nothing happens. I click it again, and suddenly the menu opens and closes 3 times. And it's quite irritating. So I do believe that we have a responsive problem on the web and we should try and fix that. So saying that we're all great isn't really a metric doing its job. If we look at the same chart for INP, it's much lower. Now, we're not going down to make it really difficult to pass, impossible to pass. We're not looking at 0% of websites are passing. At the minute, we're seeing sort of 60 to 70 to 80% of websites are passing this, which to me feels about right. It's like we should make this metric tough but achievable. I would say this, that the top end of the web, so the top 1,000 websites, top 10,000 websites, are usually ones that fail at a much higher rate because they've got much more interactive websites, much more heavy websites that take a while to do that. So how is an INP different than FID? So this diagram represents what happens whenever you click on something and interact with a website. Click on a button, click on a menu and open it. Typically, something else might already be running. Maybe the page is still loading, the browser's busy doing something. Maybe you clicked on something before that and it's still finishing off dealing with that. And in the meantime, you've clicked on something else. So sometimes there's a pause before it can even get to your click. And that's represented by the gray blocking task box here. You can see there's a little bit of a pause before it happens, and then it starts processing it. Now, an event in the browser world can often result in several different events. So if you click, and actually what happens is you get a mouse down event, a pointer down event, a pointer up event, a mouse up event, and then a click. And various bits of JavaScript code can hook onto any of these and say, hey, when I see a mouse down up event, I want to do this. And this may not even be things that you've coded. It may be tag managers you put in, and maybe analytics services that you use to do that. So we run all that code, and that's the yellow blocks there. And that's basically whenever we're handling whatever that click is supposed to do. Is it supposed to show some content? Is it supposed to start a video playing? Is it supposed to download something? Whatever. After that, there's usually some sort of result to show the user. So if it's a disclosure widget and you're clicking open, you expect it to open and show more content there. If it's a checkout button that pops up with a basket, with a dialogue where you've got to fill in your credit card details and checkout, whatever, there's usually a result display to the user. So that then takes some time for layout and paint and that sort of thing, and then the result to actually see it. Now, after that, there may be some more things that happen in the background. Maybe it's going off and saying, hey, buy this thing, and you'll get a waiting ... or a spinner, and then something else will come back. IMP doesn't measure that. It only measures this sort of first part. Now, FID measures this first bit, this blocking period, which whenever we first introduced it, we thought it was really important of how long does it take until your code gets executed. And as its name, first input delay implies, it only measures that for the first interaction. So that's really only a subset of the issue. So the first interaction, again, we thought it's important. Pages are loading, and we want to make sure it's going on correctly there and quickly. But the reality is people do a lot more interactions well after the page is loaded. So IMP measures this full period of time there, from a click until the next paint. So interaction until the next paint. And it measures it across all interactions. And then we sit there and look at the worst one. So if you click a button, it takes 200 milliseconds. You click another button, it takes 500 milliseconds. And you click a third button, it takes 300 milliseconds. We'll look at those and say 500 milliseconds is worst. That's your IMP score for that page. And you can think of it broken down into these three things. And you'll see this in some tooling, and I think this is going to get a lot more common over the next few years. As you get IMP data on your websites, it might break it down into this part was delay, i.e. it was nothing to do with that actual click, it was just other things going on. So it may be other clicks that were going on, it may be something else, but you need to look at the general responsiveness of your website. Or it was the processing time of the click, that's where you know that bit of code has caused the problem. Or it was a presentation delay. It took a long time to draw the updates. Maybe you've got a really complicated website and it's taking a while to update things. IMP is going to be an adjustment. I'm not going to apologize for that, and I'm not going to say that it's not. It's something we've not really measured before. FID to a point, yeah, but no, that we've ignored responsiveness because we didn't have a good way of measuring it. We do now. I say this similar to CLS. I talked a bit at the beginning of that annoying jumpy thing. We didn't really measure it before. And once we did, sites started improving it. So we're hoping that the same thing will happen here. But it's not just on sites' responsibility to figure out this. Sites, yes, do have to improve it. And if they're writing code for their websites, they have to improve it. But sites often bring in third parties. And if those code is too much, then that's something where it needs to be improved. And platforms like WordPress is investing a lot in the performance team to do that. All sorts of other platforms, Wix, Shopify, Next.js, JavaScript frameworks, lots of platforms are looking at improving it, particularly because of this. And that's what we want. So it's going to take a community effort for us all to address this problem. So yeah, it can feel a little annoying, feel a bit like we're scolding you, your website's gone, and it can be, I can't do anything, it's this plugin I'm using. I'm not in control of it. And that's the truth, but neither's your user, and your user's the one that's suffering. And this also counts for Google as well. I am well aware that Google is not an angel in absolutely everything this. We are one of the biggest embedders across the web. So we have YouTube embeds, we have Google Map embeds, we have lots of reasons to do that. And some of them could, yes, be a lot better. And some of Google's own sites don't pass the Core Web Vitals. We are measured to the same standards as everyone else. So yes, we absolutely know this. We're aware of it. We're working on it. But yeah, Google doesn't get a free pass here. We measure it in the exact same way. But IMP is intended to improve web experiences. I hear a lot of people, as I say, who see it as a stick that we're pointing at them. We're not. We're trying to point out the problem and hope that we all collectively can solve that. Moving on to some more practical things, here's some quick fixes that I can suggest for you. And these ones are for the non-techies. I don't know what the audience is made up here, whether you're all developers or whether you're not, but these are for the site builders, the people who use WordPress, install some plugins, a little bit technical, but maybe aren't hardcore JavaScript developers. So these are some tips and tricks that you can do to improve your IMP. First up, have a spring clean. I don't know about you, but there's lots of people who install WordPress plugins, never use it or use it for a few months or haven't used it for months or whatever. Uninstall those. If you're not using them, take them away. Tag managers just love to collect old things. If you go into your tag manager and you see something from campaign 2019 summer, take away that tag. It may not be firing anymore, but you've got to download the code, run it, figure out whether it's got to fire or not, and then do nothing. It's wasted effort. So some of this cleanup means that your website won't change at all, but it'll get lighter, it'll get quicker, and you'll see your IMP scores improve. So that's my first bit of advice. Just give yourself less to do if it's not doing anything. My second bit of advice is avoid expensive widgets and plugins. And the last presentation touched on this too. So yeah, there's some great plugins in there and widgets that do fancy things and put snow all over your website in December, and they look great. But are they enhancing the user experience, or is it just, hey, this looked fantastic and yeah, I've kind of got bored of it now? In which case, ask yourself, do you need to do that? And if you're using some of the plugins, Google Maps, for example, if you use Google Maps on your website because you want to tell people where your physical location is, and you're installing it on all the page, but the map only shows on the Contact Us page, then that's usually quite an expensive widget. See if you can just show it on the Contact Us page. There's no point in loading it on the other pages if you're not showing maps on the other pages. So it's not just about taking things away. It's about making sure they're not loading when they're not needed. Ads. This may be controversial, especially coming from someone working from Google, since we, one of the biggest ad agencies out there. Consider the number of ads, especially on mobile. And I understand the ads are there for you to monetize your websites and your contact, and they are important. Trust me, Google believes in ads. But there's a balance between lots of ads and a per user experience, and people don't stay on your website and they go away. No ads, and you don't make any money off your website. And usually the sweet spot is somewhere in between, where you've got enough ads where you're monetizing your website, but not ruining the experience, so you get more visitors coming who see more ads and stuff like that. So look at them. If you've got one article and 40 different ads to come in, you wouldn't believe the amount of effort it takes to show an ad on the web page. So honestly, I'd encourage you to have a look at that. I've got an article here about optimizing core web vitals for business users. So it's, again, based on less developers. I've given you a flavor of some of the things that we talk about there, but there's some more advice in there. For the developers in you, we have lots of guidance here. This is going to take lots of details, so I'm not going to get time to cover it here, but go and check out how to optimize IMP on the web.dev site. I see we're running short of time, so I'm going to skip over this very quickly. One important thing is that core web vitals are measured in the field. They are not based on tools like Lighthouse. So I see people saying, oh, I've got a 99 in my Lighthouse score. Fantastic, good for you. But what is your core web vital score? That's always my first answer. Core web vitals are measured from real Chrome users. When you install Chrome, it says, are you happy to send anonymous feedback back to Google? And if you say yes, and lots of people do, then we collect that data. It's, again, anonymized, and we aggregate it all up, and we present that score, and we say, your users, your real users who are using Chrome got these scores. And they can be quite different. So in this example, looking at the bottom on Page Speed Insight, we've got a 97 Lighthouse score. It's all green. It's looking great. All our metrics are green. But above, we can see that real users are struggling. They're having problems. And that might be because the Lighthouse was run close to the users, but you've got a worldwide audience and it's from somewhere else. Or it might be they're getting redirected through a lot of ads before they even get to your website, so they're getting that lag. So really concentrate on the core vitals crux data, and only use the lab tool to investigate that when you go that. Because performance really is a distribution. Some of your people are going to be on fancy phones and really fast Wi-Fi networks, and they connected to your website recently. They've got lots of stuff cached. It's going to load quickly. Some of them, however, are going to be at the opposite end of the spectrum. They're on a 2G network. They're on a 10-year-old phone. It's really slow. And most people are going to be somewhere in between. So the core web vitals looks at what 3/4 of your website you're going to get. We call that 75th percentile, and say, here, 3 seconds. That's what a majority of your website users can get, or less. And that's what we encourage you to do. Very quickly, for identifying workflow issues, look at what your problems are, debug, and monitor them. So I've already shown you Page Speed Insights. Google Search Console is another site that will show you all your pages. We have lots of details on how to debug and optimize them. And then monitor it. Do look at it. Keep an eye on your story in Google Search Consoles, or Crux data comes out once a month as well, and the database BigQuery version that you can have a look at. That's a whistle-stop tour. Sorry it was so fast. I've got a couple of articles that go there. Feel free to contact me on Twitter or Mastodon. I'm less on LinkedIn if you've got any questions with that, and I hope that was helpful.
And thanks everyone as well. Like as Barry mentioned, unfortunately we're sort of out of time. So please also, I can help field for any of our presenters today. If you like, it's via at stagepublishing.com, and yeah, we'll help get you the answers that you need. So with that, I'd like to just thank everyone again. Barry, Aslam, Angelo, thank you again so much for your contribution. And tomorrow we're going to be talking with Solomon from Foreign Magazine about subscriptions and so with that, everyone, have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.